to investigate. So either way, the homeowner who pays for the test owns the data. He may release it to me. He may say, for your eyes only, or he might say, yes, of course, pass it on. One of my clients said, I want the world to know that this water is contaminated. I will bring in my own drinking water. I have neighbors who are children, and I'm acting on their behalf. Yes, please distribute the results of my test.
Well, besides Ledgewood, High Meadow, there's so many. High Meadow, Newberry Crossing, Town Brook Apartments, Sandy Lane Village, and Green Ridge. Are there other areas of which you're concerned about uranium-laced groundwaters?
Oh, there are areas in which I'm concerned, but I wish you had asked, where do you think the groundwaters are clear of, uncontaminated with radionuclides? And had you asked that, I could answer it clearly and without concern. Areas in Brookfield, north of the high school and east of Federal Road, I've sampled quite a few sites in that region, and I never once found contamination to exceed or to reach the health action level. A trace here, a trace there. And you never know if this is within the precision of the testing equipment. But that part of Brookfield, I think, is certainly clear of any concern that their groundwater would be radioactive. Does that mean that the rest of Brookfield has uranium in its groundwater? No, not at all. I have more work to do, and I would hope that with that, more of my clients would reveal to me and allow me to distribute the results of their groundwater test.
Well, how might one learn if their well water contains radioactive elements?
Oh boy. You might suspect it. You might suspect it if you know your house has radon. Radon is one of the products of disintegration from uranium. And if that emanates even through the porous, overburdened soils and breaks out into the foundation of your house, originally that probably came from uranium. You might go further then. The public might go further in testing their groundwater for what radon is in it. Or you might even say, test it for all radionuclides. Another thing, you might look around the neighborhood for a history of health problems. I can identify a large number of cancers. What caused them, I have no idea. And that would require some judgment of a medical professional. But I can identify a number of people, many of them seniors, who have had health problems. Another concern that we need to take into consideration is what genetic damage may come from exposure to those drinking radioactive groundwater, even just slightly radioactive groundwater.
I have a vegetable garden. Fortunately, as I mentioned earlier, my water's been tested, and I'm given a green light. But for those other people that might have a vegetable garden, might watering their garden with radioactive laced waters, would that change the quality of its tomatoes or other veggies or fruits?
I used to have a garden. I gave it up not because of any radioactivity. Environmental scientists are now working on this particular problem. When contaminated water with lead or mercury or anything else is found in the soils or coming from the groundwater, what happens to that? What happens to vegetables and fruit that grow into soils which were once contaminated? We know that, and the results have not been published, to my knowledge, on does uranium enter root systems, plant systems, seeds, fruit. I've never found a reference to that. I know, for example, that mercury will go right through the root systems, through the plants, and evaporate out of the leaves. And that's one of the techniques that is used where mercury is contaminated soils. It's called, and trees have been planted in mercury-rich soils so as to clear out the mercury. Lead is also another problem. That tends to gather in the roots. But where uranium, and that's significant for potato production, for carrot production. But where uranium goes, I have no idea. And it's not yet published as long as I know.
Well, what agencies are responsible or have oversight for this?
Yeah, ultimately, the Connecticut Department of Health has responsibility. As a matter of fact, the state of Connecticut owns your groundwater. Whatever groundwater there is, they assign it to water companies. You may own a well, a private well, but the water you draw from the ground is owned by the state of Connecticut. Only when a water company comes along and says, I can now provide water for you, then you may have to give up your private well. Connecticut departments of health, public utilities control, they are the ultimate deciders. Local wetlands has an impact and can ask questions and can enforce certain regulations that affect groundwater quality. Zoning is the same, and it's also true that the DEP may have a say in the withdrawal of groundwater.
I have one or two more questions, but to follow up on something you just mentioned. So, as an individual homeowner, I have my own well. As I say, fortunately, I've got a green light and I can drink it and it won't glow at night. You're telling me that the state of Connecticut owns the water that I am bringing up with my well?
That's exactly true. The Connecticut, not only do they own it, they assign its ownership. I live on a well in Brookfield, and I know the name of the water company that can claim the water that I now that I hope to use. But if they come by my house with a pipe, they might insist that I give up my well. They in the future will provide water for my house.
Even if my well is providing, if it passes by my house, I would have to go with them.
If required to do so, yes.
Wow. Okay. My guess is most people are not aware of that.
And I must tell you that I've owned the well at my house for over 40 years, have never spent a penny except for the electricity to pump the water from it.
Right.
It's been absolutely free. It's a God's gift for residents of Brookfield. But the state owns it, and a water company might receive it someday from the state.
Wow. To wrap it up, what solutions are there for existing homeowners that, or anyone for that matter, owners that have uranium-laced waters?
Well, the town of Brookfield has, I believe, dictated some solutions with the help of the Connecticut Department of Health and Public Utilities Control. That is, we will provide a pipe, and a pipe will be paid for. You might help pay for it, but a pipe will deliver water to your condominium unit, to your street, and that may be one solution. Then monthly thereafter, the state of Connecticut Health Department is obliged to test that water for its purity. But there are other there are other solutions. One of them was implemented by Wisconsin Village. They have a considerable concentration of groundwater, of uranium in their groundwater, and they've chosen an ion exchange procedure. They have a lot of water. It needs cleaning up. They have the infrastructure. Why buy water from off-site? They have ion exchange, and the operator of that ion exchange reported to me every month. No detection, no ID, no contamination is coming into that system. Why use a pump? Why use a pipe? Pardon me, when the water you have is sufficient. It just needs cleaning. Something I suggest to homeowners is reverse osmosis. There's a membrane. There are membranes that have been created that that will block certain sized atoms, molecules from passing through them. Water can get through them all right. And so there are small units that fit in under the sink that can be used to filter, in a sense, filter the water that's coming in from the well. And the same well, pump pressure, pumps that water away, perhaps to dispose it into a septic field. There's another method that I'm aware of. I have never used it. There are activated aluminum method technologies that are used largely in the state of Maine to help clean their groundwater uranium-rich problems.
Okay, well, Dr. Groff, I really appreciate your joining us this evening. Thank you very much. I hope that our audience has learned something. I think that people need to get involved. It affects the whole town, the whole area, and I think people need to ask, questions and at least learn what's going on, and I think you'll be keep well informed. So again, I want to wrap things up. Thank you again. Please contact us for future topics or comments you may have regarding the shows. Again, you may reach us at brookfieldpublicadvocate@yahoo.com. And we also will put segments up on YouTube, which is youtube.com/BrookfieldPublicAdvo. We'll see you next time, and good evening.